إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I think what happened was, I believe what happened was I left the room to collect something and my AirPods were still connected to it. And then when I must have disconnected from it, and when I came in and then I clicked, go live, it must have just messed up a little bit. But anyway, we're here now, alhamdulillah. Not long now, as I say. The Ramadan is a couple of days away from being finished, and Eid here, Shawwal here. So as I say, when you start to see the last line, when you start to see the last bit, you're supposed to put in a bit of a sprint. So now's not the time to waver. Now's not the time to slow down. Now's not the time to pat ourselves on the back. Now is the time to make sure we push these last few days with good quality, and so that we can, inshallah, get our ajr, inshallah ta'ala. So just to remind people, so we have our guidance for the guided today. We will, inshallah, tomorrow have Fiqh hour. And that will be Wednesday. And then on Thursday, I may do a live stream again for Shawwal, like we did the moon sighting live stream for Ramadan a month ago now. We can do the live streaming for Shawwal. Again, you can be observers more than anything else, because we will be having discussions, and I'll let you kind of drop into the conversation so you see what's going on. And then if time permits, inshallah, on Thursday, we will have what will most likely be the final guidance for the guided, rather than maybe holding one on Friday then, because we know most definitely Saturday will be Eid if it isn't on Friday. So anyway, we're getting a couple of days ahead of ourselves. Let's complete a couple of rukus today, because again, the target was to finish Surah Al-Ma'idah for this Ramadan. So inshallah, we're well on with the target there. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يبلونكم الله بشيء من الصيد تناله أيديكم ورماحكم ليعلم الله من يخافه بالغيب. All those of you who believe, Allah will undoubtedly test you with things from hunting. Now, when it comes to hunting here, this is in reference to when a person is in the state of ihram. When a person is in the state of ihram, then they weren't allowed to hunt animals. Now, of course, nowadays we don't hunt animals. We normally are looking for the various restaurants or takeaways, fast food joints, so we can get food. But back in the day, food wasn't as easily available, because if you couldn't afford to make the purchase, or you chose not to, then you wouldn't buy any food locally, and there wouldn't be that much food, so you would actually go hunting for food. And being in a state of ihram, it means you're in a peaceful, sanctified state. And if you're in a peaceful, sanctified state, are you permitted to then go and attack animals? So Allah SWT says, "Oh, those of you who believe, indeed we will test you, Allah will test you with things from hunting. تَنَالُهُ أَيْدِيكُمْ وَرِمَاحُكُمْ, by which can be taken by your hands or your spears, in order that Allah may test you if you fear Him in the unseen, meaning if you are not being observed by anybody. Because it's an easy thing to do, isn't it? When no one is watching to do something. Similarly, like when we're fasting and we're the only person in the house, and you think, well, nobody's going to know if I eat something. Who's going to know? If I quickly nibble on a crisp packet and quickly brush my teeth afterwards, or rinse my mouth out, or if I quickly eat a chocolate, okay, no one's going to know. Or if I quickly have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, who's going to find out? And that's where the true test of Iman comes, is when you still have God consciousness in the absence of human observations. And this is what Allah speaks of. فَمَنِ اعْتَدَى بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ, and whomsoever transgresses after that, then for him فَلَهُ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ, there is a painful punishment. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la taqtulu sayda wa antum hurum. Or those of you who believe, do not kill animals of game whilst you are in the state of ihram. Just for clarity as well, in case people are thinking, what are animals of game and what's this all about? Remember, we have some animals which are domesticated. Domesticated are, for example, like, birds like hens, and animals like goats and sheep and cattle. These are domesticated. We can control them. We can literally go up to them and slaughter them. Okay, the chicken might give you a little bit of a run, but the other animals, we can be quite confident to grab them. Of course, every animal will run away from a human, but they're not animals like, for example, a rabbit, say, or a deer, or animals of that nature, a pheasant, for example. You're going to get nowhere close to them, and we can't kind of domesticate them either. So we have to, hunt them using, and this is back in the day when people were using bows and arrows, and therefore this is what's been made impermissible. So وَمَنْ قَتَلَهُ مِنْكُمْ مُتَعَمِّدًا فَجَزَاءٌ مِثْلُ مَا قَتَلَ مِنَ النَّعَمِ يحكم به ذوى عدل منكم حديا بالغ الكعبة أو كفارة طعام مساكين أو عدل ذلك صياما ليذوق وبال أمره. And whoever does actually kill from amongst you, متعمدا, an animal intentionally. So even though the warning has been given that don't kill animals that are of animals of game whilst you're in the state of ihram, but even if you hear the warning and you still proceed to do that, then the recompense for that person is that he must mithlu ma qatala, he must kill an animal similar to what he killed min an-na'ami, from animals which are domesticated. Who decides what animal that you will have to give in exchange of the animal you killed? يحكم به ذوى عدل منكم, will judge based upon this two just people from amongst yourselves. حديا بالغ الكعبة, that sacrifice would reach the Kaaba. Or kafaratu, so that's if you could do that. If you can't do that, then kafaratun ta'amu masakina, there's the expiation of feeding poor people. Or adlu dhalika siyaman, or equivalent to that in fasting. Liyadhuqa wabala amrihi, so that you may taste the impact, the result of your decision, of your actions. So therefore, a penalty is being given for anybody who does intentionally kill animal of game. Like I said, for this is pretty much academic for us, in the sense that we don't go hunting. There's hardly any animals to hunt anywhere around Mecca. What are you going to hunt? As I said, the only things we do go hunting for is pizzas and burgers and things like that. So that's not included in here because the animal's already killed. So this is pretty much is just to understand the mas'ala. And therefore, this person will have to wait for the animal to reach the Kaaba. But there is another alternative. The alternative is to feed poor people, and the other alternative is to fast. Afallahu amma salaf. Allah has pardoned you for that which has already passed. Meaning he's not going to take you to task for it, what's already gone. Waman aada, however, he will take to task those people who, after being given a warning, continue and persist. Waman aada, whomsoever persists, fayantakimullahu minhu, then Allah will take retribution from him. Okay, then there's a warning. Wallahu azizun dhun taqam, and Allah is great, he is majestic and mighty, and he is possessor of great revenge. Uhilla lakum sayyidul bahri wa ta'amuhu mata'an lakum wa lis-sayyara, has been made halal for you the animals that you hunt in the sea, in the river. Wa ta'amuhu mata', and its food is provision for you, wa lis-sayyara, and for the traveler. Now, none of us can domesticate fish, okay? Fish are fish, they'll always run away from you. Yes, we can have fish farms where we reduce the amount of water, and as a result, because we've structured the farm in such a way, we can easily get the fish out a lot easier than if the fish are out at sea or the fish are out in a river. But even then, you can't really domesticate fish or something like that. So those animals, is permitted to hunt them or fish them rather. And its food is a provision. So this becomes this whole discussion and topical discussion about what type of animals of the sea we can consume. Now, the word that's used obviously is the fish. The word that's used is fish, and the fish is samak. And fish itself has been defined not necessarily by a biological method, because in those days they were not marine biologists. Okay, the fuqaha were not marine biologists that they picked out a fish and said, right, okay, what makes a fish fish? What are its identifiers? What is something specific about a fish? It breathes through gills. Okay, how does it give birth to young? Is it hot-blooded or cold-blooded? They didn't do some kind of analysis on the fish. They just looked at the fish, because science was observational in those days, all observational. So they looked at the fish and they said, okay, that is a fish. Anything which did not resemble that and resemble creatures which were impermissible on the land were excluded. So anything which was squidgy, okay, like crustaceans, like prawns, like crabs, like squid, like eels, anything which we would not eat on the earth, yani from the land, then we would not eat from the sea either. And that was pretty much the Hanafi position. Remember, the Hanafi was predominantly in landlocked areas. They were not necessarily great fishermen. Whereas other madhahib, the Shawafi, the Maliki, the Hanbali, especially the Shafi, take a little bit more of a relaxed definition of what this refers to. And they include lots of other creatures within their definition of fish. And therefore, they will include prawns and things of that nature. وَحُرِمَ عَلَيْكُمْ صَيْدُ الْبَرِّ مَا دُمْتُمْ حُرُمًا. However, has been made illegal upon you the animals of the land for as long as you stay in the state of ihram. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي إِلَيْهِ تُحْشَرُونَ. And fear Allah, whom towards him you will be gathered. Again, we're reminded that you will be gathered on the day of judgment, and therefore anything that you're being asked to do, anything that you're being warned about, anything that you choose not to obey, know that there's a reckoning coming. جعل الله الكعبة البيت الحرام قياما للناس. Allah SWT has made the inviolable, the holy, the protected house, which is the Kaaba, as a قياما للناس, as a place for coming, attending for the people. والشهر الحرام, and also the prohibited month. والهدي, and the animal that's brought for slaughter. والقلائد, and the garlanded animal. Meaning there's certain things which have been given sanctity and are protected by the law, are protected because they have an association with Allah in some way, shape, or form, in which there is a prohibition in doing what you would normally do everywhere else or to anything else. So, for example, in terms of the haram, then one can't fight, one can't kill, one can't destroy. You can't even chop trees down. You can't attack animals. You can defend yourself against animals and insects, but you can't attack animals unless obviously it's a very small group of animals which are known to attack humans. So this whole place has been made prohibited. Similarly, Shahr al-Haram. This is a prohibited month. There were months in the year in which the Arabs weren't allowed to fight. So this would naturally mean that people could carry on living their lives, where business could carry on, travelers could move around. Otherwise, if people could fight throughout the year, then like we're seeing now, many people's plans to fly to various parts of the world has been affected because of obviously the war that's going on in the Middle East. So it affects business. We're now seeing obviously, oil prices rising, which are going to affect people in terms of their economy and how it's going to affect households. So therefore, there were certain months which were prohibited to fight, which allowed people to gather goods, allowed people to get food together, in order that when the war would resume, then people would have moved around, settled back down again, allow people to settle their differences. وَالْهَدْيَ وَالْقَلَائِدَ. And these were two types of animals which were dedicated to Allah. And because they were dedicated to Allah, they were prohibited from consuming or prohibited from milking or anything like that. ذَلِكَ لِتَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. That is in order that you know that indeed Allah knows that which is in the heavens and that which is in the earth. وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. And indeed Allah over everything is knowledgeable. اعلموا أن الله شديد العقاب. Know that indeed Allah is most severe in punishment. وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ, and he's also very forgiving and very merciful. So he has these different positions that he adopts. مَا عَلَى الرَّسُولِ إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ, and it is not upon the messenger except to proclaim. وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ مَا تُبْدُونَ وَمَا تَكْتُمُونَ, and Allah knows that which you make apparent and that which you conceal. قُلْ لَا يَسْتَوِي الْخَبِيثُ وَالطَّيِّبُ, say to them, it is not equivalent, the bad, the evil, the disgusting, وَالطَّيِّبُ, and the good. وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَكَ كَثْرَةُ الْخَبِيثِ, even if surprises you or makes you astonished or excites you, the abundance of the khabith. This is like, for example, people who earn through illicit means, and they don't care how they earn their money. And when they earn through illicit means, they get lots of wealth. And when they see a large number on their bank account, they feel happy. They don't care where the source is. The source is, they don't really care at all. As long as they've got more money in their bank account, it pleases them. What Allah SWT is saying is, they're not the same. Okay, they're not the same. This filth that you've allowed into your bank account, which you're now going to buy food with, which you're now going to pay for your whatever, petrol, your gas, your services, anything of this nature you're going to now cover. There's going to be no barakah in that. There's going to be no happiness in your house. There's going to be no contentment in your heart. This is not what you think this money is going to bring you. This happiness which you think this money is going to bring you, this money will not bring you this happiness. That's what this is referring to. That don't think that they are the same. Don't think earning in a halal way is the same as earning in a haram way, even if you get more earning in a haram way. Thinking that the objective is, the more money I have, the more contentment I will have. The more money I have, the happier I will be. The more money I have, I will pass through life better. And therefore, I will get it through every means possible. What they fail to realize is it's not about how much money you have, but rather that you have some tayyib earnings. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. So fear Allah, O people of intellect, in order that you may be successful. As I did mention yesterday, the aim is I will do 2 rukus today, so it can bring us to a nice end, and which will leave us 2 rukus, which we can cover then on Thursday, inshallah, as tomorrow is fiqh hour. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تسألوا عن أشياء إن تبد لكم تسوكم. Or those of you who believe, don't ask regarding things if they were made apparent for you, then they would cause you trouble. Okay, they would harm you. So don't ask too many questions. If you ask too many questions and then you get the responses, then sometimes the response you get is not what you want to hear. وَإِن تَسْأَلُوا عَنْهَا حِينَ يُنَزَّلُ الْقُرْآنُ تُبْدَ لَكُمْ. And if you ask regarding something whilst the Quran is being revealed, تُبْدَ لَكُمْ, it will be made apparent to you, because you've got direct connection with Allah through the Prophet ﷺ. عَفَى اللَّهُ عَنْهَا, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has pardoned you from it. وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ حَلِيمٌ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving and kind. قَدْ سَأَلَهَا قَوْمٌ مِّن قَبْلِكُمْ ثُمَّ أَصْبَحُوا بِهَا كَافِرِينَ. Indeed, a group of people asked regarding it from before you, and then they became disbelievers. Meaning there were lots of people who asked lots of questions, and this is an unfortunate thing as well, is not to ask too many questions. Okay, asking too many questions is a problem, because when you've got an answer, go act on it. When you have an answer for something, go act on it. But a person who's not going to act on it, just asking question after question after question after question, and then eventually that person struggles and unfortunately leaves. So this is a habit that he has to be very careful about. That he's not just always looking for the deen as an intellectual pursuit, as something to engage with intellectually. Intellect is used in order to, determine right from wrong. And once we've determined right from wrong, is to accept Islam, and that's it. And now practice the deen. Not continuously be asking questions, because that sometimes can lead to doubt rather than certainty. ما جعل الله من بحيرة ولا سائبة ولا وسيلة ولا حام. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not made min bahira, and bahira is a type of camel whose milk was saved just for the idols. Wala saiba, and this was a she camel that was freed, let loose basically in the name of the idols. Wala wasila, and wala hamma. I've just made some little notes here, which I need to just put on my glasses in order to be able to see it. Neither a wasila, so this was a she camel who had two births, right? So basically, then it was set free. And also, then Hama is another type of she camel that was set free. So these animals were set free in the name of the idols, and they were not supposed to be touched by. What Allah's saying is, I never told you this. I never told you that these type of animals you have to leave in the name of gods. Where did you get this from? And Allah says Himself where they got it from. وَلَكِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يَفْتَرُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ الْكَذِبَ. Rather, those people who disbelieve, they fabricated against Allah a lie. وَأَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. And the majority of them, they have no sense. So this is unfortunately sometimes our habits, don't we? We make things up in our religion. We make things up in our religion, and then we attribute it to Allah, or we attribute it to the Prophet ﷺ, and we say, "Oh, this is part of our deen," and Allah wants this from me, and like, where have you got this from? That Allah wants this from you? You can't just say something like Allah wants this from me. This is what Allah would want. This is the way I understand my religion. What are you on about? You can't do it like that. You have to have a basis in the deen. Otherwise, you're making fabrications against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ وَإِلَى الرَّسُولِ قَالُوا حَسْبُنَا مَا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا. And when it is said to them, come towards that which Allah has revealed and towards the messenger, they will say, حَسْبُنَا مَا. It's enough for us what we found our forefathers. So again, when the argument is made, look, let's fix this. Okay, let's go to the deen. What does the deen say about this matter? What does the Quran say about this matter? What does the hadith say about this matter? Instead, they'll say, oh no, our elders always did this. This is part of our culture. This is what our elders did. Because our elders did this, we're going to do the same. This is nonsense. Right? This is not how a person finds his connection with Allah. This is just making something up with no reality. أَوَلَوْ كَانَ آبَاؤُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ شَيْءًا وَلَا يَهْتَدُونَ. Bearing in mind that their forefathers, they did not know anything and nor were they guided. So there's no point talking about the elders, that, I'm going to wait on our elders when our elders, this is what our elders did and we're going to follow it. So, well, okay, well, your elders knowledgeable people. Were they scholars? No, they weren't. So then what are you following? Are you just following what they decided was right? Do you not even sit and think and reflect and contemplate? Do you not have that capacity? يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا عَلَيْكُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ. Or those of you who believe, look after yourselves, basically. لَا يَضُرُّكُمْ مَنْ ضَلَّ إِذَا اهْتَدَيْتُمْ. Will not be able to harm you, those who have gone astray when you are guided. Let them do what they wish to do. If this is what they want to do, fine. Let them crack on. Yeah. As I said, let them knock themselves out. Let them carry on with that. إِلَى اللَّهِ مَرْجِعُكُمْ. Towards Allah is your return, جَمِيعًا, all of you. فَيُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. Then He will inform you regarding what you did. So leave them. Share whatever words you can share with them. Inform them as best as you can inform them. And if they still aren't willing to listen, then fine. Be on your way. Do what you need to do. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا شَهَادَةُ بَيْنِكُمْ إِذَا حَضَرَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتُ حِينَ الْوَصِيَّةِ اثْنَانِ ذَوَا عَدْلٍ مِّنكُمْ أَوْ آخَرَانِ مِنْ غَيْرِكُمْ. Or those of you believe, the witness between you is when death approaches one of you at the time of making the will, two just men from amongst you, or two others from other than you, meaning it doesn't have to be your own kith and kin. In antum darabtum fil ard, if you are out traveling, فَأَصَابَتْكُمْ مُصِيبَةُ الْمَوْتِ, and unfortunately death comes to you whilst you're traveling, and you can't find your own kith and kin to bring as witnesses, so you need to bring some strangers. This verse is in reference to the earlier stages of inheritance. In the earlier stages of inheritance, the person was allowed to choose who to give to. And then that was changed and modified, and then that was removed from people, the choice. And we've already discussed about inheritance previously. تَحْبِسُونَهُمَا مِنْ بَعْدِ الصَّلَاةِ. You detain both of them after salah. فَيُقْسِمَانِ بِاللَّهِ. And then you distribute in Allah, in irtabtum. If you have doubt, لا نشتري به ثمنا ولو كان ذا قربى, and you should not buy with it a price, even if they be close relatives. Meaning, you don't sell your shahada, and neither ولا نكتم شهادة الله, and neither should you conceal and hide the witnessing of Allah. إِنَّ إِذَلَّ مِنَ الْآثِمِينَ. Otherwise, you will then be from the sinners. So witnesses are unfortunately bought nowadays. Witnesses are fabricated nowadays. But Allah warns the people that once you stand to bear witness to something, then speak the truth. Don't lie. Don't make something up, because this is wrong for you. Will be considered as a sinner. فإن أثر على أنهما استحقا إثما فآخران يقومان مقامهما من الذين استحق عليهم الأوليان فيقسمان بالله لشهادتنا أحق من شهادتهما وما اعتدينا. And if it is discovered that the two of them were guilty of sin, meaning these two witnesses were actually false witnesses, and they just fabricated something in order to take something, in order to steal something from someone, and this has been proven, then فَآخَرَانِ يَقُومَانِ مَقَامًا, then two others should stand in their place. From مِنَ الَّذِينَ, from those إِسْتَحَقَّ عَلَيْهِمُ الْأَوْلِيَانِ, that is entitled from the first two, فَيُقْسَمَانِ بِاللَّهِ, so they will distribute it in the name of Allah, La shahadatuna, and they will make this statement, they will take this qasam rather, that our shahadat is more true than their shahadat, وَمَا اعْتَدَيْنَا إِنَّا إِذًا لَمِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ, and if we were to transgress, then we will be from the oppressors. So they give now witness, they may take a qasam, right, in Allah, that they will be truthful and honest compared to the ones previously. ذلك أدنى أن يأتوا بشهادة على وجهها, that is more close, and that they bring with the witness على وجهها, in its truest form, أو يخافوا أن ترد أيمان بعد أيمانهم, or that they fear that will be rejected their oath after their oath. واتقوا الله, and fear Allah, واسمعوا, and listen, والله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين, and Allah does not guide the transgressing people. So like I said, this witness statement was primarily when the inheritance was distributed by choice. We know obviously some of the surah that we've shared with you that this was removed then, and basically all that the person could do was up to a third of their wealth. The rest they could not. 2/3 was already decreed for them. But this last ruku in particular speaks about witness, and unfortunately sometimes we give false witness, don't we? When our parents are claiming benefits, and when our parents are claiming benefit, they tell us, fill this in, sign it for me, and you fill it and sign it, and you're lying on the form, okay? Because your parents aren't that ill, or they're not that, and you make a false statement. You lie on the form. Similarly, it could be for something else where you're making a claim yourself. You lie on the form. You give false witness. Or you're in a crash and it's actually your fault, and you lie, and you get family members to act as false witnesses. So all these are major sins. Just because it doesn't involve salah, just because it doesn't involve zakat, just because it doesn't involve fasting, we think, this has got nothing to do with Allah. Aliyadu billah. Anybody who separates the deen in this way is in a very dangerous position. A very dangerous position. All these things are to do with Allah. This is how you're supposed to be living your life, according to these means. This is how a person is supposed to. So giving witness, whether it's making statements on forms, applying for grants, or applying for benefits, you cannot lie. You cannot give false witness on there. You cannot deceive people in order to gain. You have to be honest. You have to give true witnessing. And in any shape or form in life, one has to be very careful, and they give sound witness. That's as far as I wanted to cover today. Tomorrow it will be the Fiqh hour, same time at 9:45. We have some questions already generated on the Markaz al-Ifta wal Qāḍī, but you can put more questions on there. Inshallah, we'll work through them. And then inshallah on, because tomorrow is Wednesday, then on Thursday, we will do possibly the live moon sighting like we did for the start of Ramaḍān. Now we'll be doing it for the start of Shawwal. And then in the evening at 9:45, we will cover the guidance for the guided, and the guidance for the guided will be the last two rukus before we reach the end of Surah Al-Ma'idah. For the inheritance allocated towards spouse and children, can one decide not to give them anything in their will, or do they not have a choice? They don't have a choice. You have to give to your wife and to your children, and if your parents are alive, then to your parents as well. A person has no choice in that matter. The only people he has a choice in is those people who weren't going to inherit. He may give something to them if they were not going to inherit. But anybody is going to inherit, he cannot give any extra to them, but likewise, he can't even give any less to them either. I'll give about half a minute or so in case somebody else has got some more questions. Okay, Jazakallah khairan. So tomorrow, inshallah, Fiqh hour, 9:45. We'll go through those questions. And as we're now getting kind of the last few days of Ramadan, you can tell I played Tarawih back in Bradford again after being away for some time. And yesterday was kind of okayish. It was a relatively small masjid. It was kind of okayish. But, today, obviously, they had done their khatam of Quran. They've done their khatam of Quran tonight. But the other masjid I went to today, they had done their khatam of Quran a day or so ago. So only one or two safs were full. So already now the masjids are emptying out. Even though Ramadan hasn't gone, people feel, since we've done khatam of Quran, we don't need to go for Tarawih anymore. So the massages are getting quieter. And then literally after Eid Salah, they'll turn back into the way they are, unfortunately. So we need to keep something going, okay? It's like going on some kind of fitness regime. There's no point going all out on a fitness regime for a month and then going back to old habits for 11 months because you're not going to be able to, you've got to keep that maintenance. So tomorrow, inshallah, we'll see you soon. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.